What's up, everybody? Well, I got an interesting video. Well, it might not be that interesting to some, but for me it's going to be fun. Today we're going to do some water cooling upgrading and some maintenance. Now, that water cooling system was made built about probably 2.5 years ago. Now, about 3 years now. And you're supposed to drain them every year, at least. They say anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on how it looks. This is going on 3 years without any maintenance, which you should not do, but Danielle was constantly using this thing to do her Photoshop work, and I was constantly using it to make videos and constantly gaming on it when I didn't, so laziness kind of got the better of me on that one. So today we're going to tear this thing apart, completely clean it, and we're going to upgrade the radiator and the CPU block and give it some new coolant. So first thing we got to do is get it the heck off of there. We ain't going to be able to do nothing with it sitting on the table like that, so let's go take all the cords out the back, get that glass side panel off, and let's transport that thing into my master bathroom. I would take it to the kitchen, but no way in hell am I taking that giant heavy ass 85-pound case downstairs. Screw that. That's just asking to take a dump down the stairs and break my $5,000 computer and myself all up. So nope. Let's get that started and we'll turn the camera back on as soon as we're in the other room. Alright, well, we got it in the master bathroom here. I took off the little metal posts and the glass to transport it, since that's a majority of its weight. The rest of it weight lied in the 3090, and the only thing I can't take off is the radiator and coolant reservoir. That's where all the rest of the weight is. Now, why don't we take a quick look at all of our components that we're going to be putting in here. Alright, so let's have a quick look at all of our components we're going to be using and upgrading to. First on the list, and most important probably, would be this Hardware Labs 560mm Black Ice Nemesis GTR Black Carbon Radiator. Man, that's a mouthful of a name. Then we got ourselves some EK Duraclear tubing here. Got some Thermaltake compression fittings here. Then we've got some Arctic Cooling P14 140mm fans. We have a TechN AM4 water block. Got the one with the RGB in it. Got a little fan splitter. Over here we've got some Hydronaut Thermal Grizzly paste. And then we got ourselves some Go Chiller premix. So now let's get started draining this old loop. So we got all the fans taken out. We got the water block taken off. Got the back plate out. That one was kind of fun. I had to take all the screws besides the bottom row out of my motherboard to get that stock back plate out. Really didn't want to take my motherboard out, so now it's being held by the 24 pin and the 8 pin CPU connector, but good enough. Now it's time to drain this thing, and then we can work on getting that radiator off of there. And then I have to take that reservoir and clean it real good, because that's about the only part I'm reusing here, besides maybe some fittings if I run out of the new ones. But now let's move on and go do just that. So we are just about to drain. I just had to go find my cool little switch here, which allows me to do that, which turns on the whole system. A lot easier than trying to use my foot like I used to do and kind of reach for the little power switch on those power strips. So now I'm just gonna unscrew one of the ends of the CPU block, put it in the bucket, and well, might just undo both, put both things in the bucket, and that way most of the water will go in the bucket. And now if anything does happen, it's on linoleum and it's not just getting into my carpet. That other carpet's completely screwed already, but not fun walking around in coolant, and it's probably not good for the cat either if she decided to try to lick some of that up. She loves to try to eat random shit off the carpet. Don't know why, but that's just what she does. Oh, cats, they're silly. Anyway, let's get to draining this son of a bitch. Well, we got the CPU block off. Now, those things were really on there. I actually had to take them straight off of the block instead of, bending the hose off of the fittings. So, because I did that, a little water got down in there, but I'm not going to be reusing this one right away. I'm going to go downstairs and clean it out anyway. So, if that does happen to you, just make sure you let it dry out. A little water on electronics with it off isn't going to actually hurt anything. It's when you turn it on, that's when it goes, oh, there's metals in this water, I'm a complete circuits, I'm fried. So if that happens to you again, just let it dry out, no big deal. But now we've also got the tubes in the bucket, and all you got to remember is as soon as you take the drain cap off, physics is just going to drain all the water out of that thing, basically, besides probably about that much water into the bucket. So now what we're going to do is just off camera, obviously I'm just going to turn this thing over and we can get the rest of this water out. And then we can get to taking this radiator off. It too has a drain plug at the bottom, so Well, I think it's actually supposed to be a fill port, but yeah. So let's go move on. Now we got the radiator off, and as you guys can see, this thing is absolutely filthy. Look at all the cat hair and grossness in there. But normally I would take this down, you know, and rinse it full of, put hot water through it, rinse it out, and then rinse it out with distilled water and what have you. But this thing's probably pretty far gone. I'll still probably try to save it, but it had a lot of years of neglect. So this might be unsavable. But main reason why I'm not using it again right now. So let's just get that off to the side now. And now I can work on cleaning out this reservoir because that thing is filthy. And this water, you probably can't see it, but there's a bunch of gross shit floating around in it. I'm gonna go ahead and go do that now. So I took out the little ring light on my Thermaltake reservoir just so I wouldn't get it wet or whatever. That and these wires right here are extremely delicate. Thermaltake definitely needs to learn a little bit about soldering. This is why you take care of your loop. Otherwise, shit will grow in it like that. And you think that looks gross? Take a look at that. So we're gonna go take this down to the kitchen and run a bunch of shit through it, and hopefully we can bring this reservoir back to life. I might have to just buy a new one. This thing might be unsavable, but I'm gonna at least give it a good old American try to fix it. So here we are. We got it pretty damn clean. We got the little tube super clear, crystal clear. We got everything all good. Just have to remember to put the RGB ring back in here. I didn't want it to get water all over it. And I figured it was weak. Didn't want to break its solder point. So there's that, and here's this guy. Now, far from flawless, but compared to what it looked like before, this looks almost brand new. So there we go. Now we can work on getting the new radiator all ready to get installed. So I'm gonna go downstairs, rinse it out and whatnot, and then we'll start trying to place it on the case. Hopefully it'll fit, but it should. Well, hit a snag, as I often do when I try water cooling stuff. This 560mm radiator, as nice as it is, just will not fit, no matter what. Because when you try to mount it, posts get in the way, and I'm glad I thought about this. I looked at it like, oh, that will work, cool. It'll just, you know, be a little bit over the top. But nope. These posts get in the way, you cannot mount the fans. Right now, this side is in line with a 360mm radiator look. It's not gonna happen. There's a reason why they limit these things. I figured, oh man, I can just put a big one in there. It's no big deal, but because it's an open case. But nope. I could do it if I didn't care about having my glass side panel, but I like that thing, so I'm gonna have to order another radiator real quick. So I'm just gonna have to leave all this strewn about my bathroom for a couple of days, but whatever. I'm just glad I realized that before, you know, filling the whole thing and then trying to put these things on and being like, oh shit. So at least I figured it out. It sucks, but I'm not even really that pissed off. I figured some things weren't going to work since I was trying to put a radiator that was too big. So I'm going to go buy a 420 because that's the biggest one it says can fit there. I'm going to go double check that too, but I'm pretty sure 420 is the maximum. Either that or I'll go return the fans as well as that radiator and just get a 480. I know a 480 will fit. Anyway, I'm going to go do that. For you guys, it'll be a matter of seconds, and then we'll get back to making this water cooling system as soon as the radiator comes in. Well, a couple of days later, and the new radiator is in. So we went with the exact same company, exact same model, but we went with a 420mm radiator this time. Look at those fins, super packed together, and it's all copper. Has quite a bit of heft to it for just being a radiator, but I've already mocked it up and it'll fit here no problem. So now I'm gonna take this guy down to the kitchen sink, do a little pre-rinse on him, and also on the tubes, because last time with my black tubes there was a bunch of shit in the tubes that was like white powder, and it got all over my system. When I turned it on, it made half of this thing look grosser than it really was. So I'm also going to wash the tubing. So I'm gonna go off and do that, and then we'll get to mounting this thing all up, and then we'll get to filling it. Okay, we've got the radiator all mounted up there. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't do it exactly the way I wanted to. I wanted to mount the fans in between and have them blow through like that. So it'd be kind of like this. But that's not going to work, but that's okay. Now I'm just going to have the fans, since they're not RGB anymore, I'm just going to set it like that and have them pulled through. And then I'm not going to have the GPU pumping a bunch of hot air through my radiator anymore. So now let's get those fans mounted, and then we can start measuring tubing. Well, there we go. Fans are installed. So now it's time to get the CPU block installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and go do that. Well, there we go. We've got the TechN CPU block installed and hooked up to the correct 12 volt, or 4 pin, I should say, RGB cable. There was one right there, luckily. All this will pretty much be hidden behind a big ass GPU because it's gonna be sitting up vertical. Now, let's work on figuring out where tubes and whatnot are going to go. Well, there we go. We've got all the tubing all hooked up. It doesn't look the most spectacular, but this is only temporary till I get my new place built. And then I'm gonna probably go hard tubing and add a GPU to the loop. The 3090 is already too old to bother ripping it apart and putting a water block on it. It's gonna be replaced by the 4090 probably in a matter of months here, so not really any point to do that. So now the fun part, filling the thing and hoping that there's no leaks. So I'm gonna go get some paper towels and put them all around for leaks, and then we'll start filling it up with some of this cool ass black liquid. Okay, well we got all of our towels and it'll be really easy to see if there's any leaks, because that's what it looks like. I set that underneath the nozzle of the little apparatus I used to fill this thing. So all right, I flipped the switch. Let's see what it does. Oh. You know what really helps? It helps when you actually plug your pump in. So let's go plug the pump in and try this one more time. For a second I was like, oh no, holy shit, I broke my pump. But no, it's just not plugged in. Okay, take two, pump's plugged in. And there we go. You don't want to have you do not want to run your pump dry. So now we're gonna okay. Okay. And again. All right, we've almost got it completing the loop now. So now we just need to add a little more fluid. And that should be more than enough for now. Put that back over there. And all right, we're almost there. This is the most time-consuming part. Okay. And there we go. Now while it's on, and that should be good. We'll just let it go for a little bit here, work out all the air bubbles. But so far I don't see any immediate leaks, so that's good. Man, that fluid does look sick going through there too. But alright, let's just let this thing do its thing, and we'll come back after a couple hours and move it around a little bit and get some more bubbles out, tilt it a little bit. If you're gonna tilt it though, make sure you close that port. And there's that stuff. It almost looks like motor oil. So now what I'm gonna do is, before that stuff gets someplace bad, let's just wipe it up. There we go. No harm, no foul. So we'll come back in a couple hours. Well, it's been running for quite some time now. no leaks as of yet, but I expect it as such. So far, no liquid cooling system I have made has ever leaked. But it doesn't mean it's impossible, which is why I still put towels everywhere just to see. And the motherboard's not powered on at all. The only thing that's powered on is the PSU and the pump and the fans. But now, I think it's about time for us to put the little drain cap on and get to cable managing. And then we can plop the GPU back in there and hope that it fits. I kind of didn't leave myself a whole lot of room, but I think I got the cable out of the way. I don't think it'll interfere with anything really. Just as long as it doesn't pull down on it and cause it to come off and start leaking. We don't want that. Well, we got most of it back together. The only part that sucked was keeping that RGB cable connected. That thing, the 5-volt RGB cable, is a pain in the ass to keep on. Every time I would mess with anything, it would slide off, but I think I got it in there. The GPU kind of was a bitch to get in there too with that tube behind it, but I figured it out. So now I'm going to go move it back to the other room and put all the heavy shit back on it, hoping that all of that worked, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we've got most of the front put together and everything. That RGB cable looks like it almost came off, so RGB may or may not work on the pump, but I'm not about to take it apart again just for some RGB that you probably can't even see because of the black liquid anyway. So, figured before we start, I put my thing on the tripod and whatnot, I would just show off what I did with all the wires. It's not the best wiring job and cable management job, but there's not a lot of cable management room here. You've only got that much. So I did the best I could. So now, let's get the side panel back on, get all of our stuff hooked back up, and see if it still turns on and boots and whatnot. Alright, everything's back together. Let's see if it turns on properly. Heck yeah, we got a picture. So I didn't break the GPU. That's pretty much the most important part. I can easily replace everything else. I could even afford to pay a scalper for a 3090, but I'm not gonna do it out of principle. Hell yeah. And the fans are spinning and blowing out this way, so I put the little dust filter back into the thermal tank. I always wondered what that was there for, so it's probably for people that want to do this. So, I'm gonna get you guys a little closer so you guys can see.
Astro, no. What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Ay, what you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. She say that I'm cool. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I believe in G-O-D. Don't believe in T-H-O-T. She keep playing me dumb. I'm a player for fun. Y'all don't really know my mental. Let me give you the picture like stencil. Falling out in a drought. No flow rain wasn't pouring down. See, that pain was all around. See, my mode was kinda lounge. Didn't know which way to turn. Flow was cool, but I still felt burned. Energy up, you can feel my surge. I'ma kill everything like this purge. Let's just get this straight for a second. I'ma work, even if I don't get paid for progression. I'ma get it. Everything that I do is electric. I'ma keep it in motion, keep it moving like kinetic. Put this shit in a frame, but I know I don't blame every.
Well, that's about it for this video. I already checked and the idle temps are way chillier now than they were before. We were idling down in the 40s before it started doing updates and whatnot. Now it's up to 60 or whatever, but I was never in the 40s before, no matter what. It was always like in the high 40s, like 48, 52. So the fact that it was ever 40 is pretty awesome. But we did just turn the thing on as well, so there is that. So I'm excited to see what it does for a test. So before we go, I'm just gonna run through a quick Cinebench and see what it maxes out at. See if it doesn't hit 86 anymore. Well, I ran Cinebench R23 for 10 minutes, and we maxed out at 75.4 degrees. So yeah, we dropped about 10 Celsius. So that's pretty dope. I'm happy with that. I'll take that. Anyway, though, hopefully you guys enjoyed this quick little, I guess you would call it, water cooling upgrade and maintenance. Although almost all the maintenance I did was basically just on the Reservoir. Everything else is new, but that's okay. It's better that way. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until the next one, peace out, guys.